if I needed these glasses, because I've got a lot of notes to read from, you know. But since this happened in reality, I don't need no notes. Therefore, I don't need any glasses. Where do you start when you have miracles in your life ever since you were a 3-year-old? Satan's been trying to kill me since I was 3. Hadn't succeeded yet, except once. And he thought he had me, but he didn't. God's always had me in his hands. Where do you start? Okay, I'm going to tell you some things about myself, and probably one person in here knows me, not really two. He's never seen me actually get in a fight. She's come close. But my friend Skeeter has been knowing me for a long time. But back before that, I'm going to tell you these things about myself so you'll know where I was at in my mind when this miracle took place. Okay? So everything you hear is not about me. It's about him and what he's done in my life and the child's life. I was brought up running the alleys and streets of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was brought up in a neighborhood where the first thing that I had to learn was how to get these up at a young age. And so, I guess when you practice something enough, you get good at it. I got good at this. In fact, when they were going to have a fight in the neighborhood, everybody wanted to be on their side. And I didn't understand why that had to be, that I never looked for fights. In fact, most of them I had, I'd be crying right through the middle of them. I couldn't understand this. Why do I have to fight? But from an early age, back then, all the way through high school and college, a little less in college because I had a reputation, but I had close to 200 fist fights, and I quit counting. I just quit counting. I couldn't go anywhere without somebody wanting to fight me. And it was kind of like Billy the Kid. You whip that guy, you get every notch on his gun. And so, this followed me everywhere I went, this having to fight. And I didn't like to. My first year in Estroma High School, I had quite a few in Prescott until people learned to leave me alone. Don't bother me. And my first year at Estroma, my first day, I had 3 fist fights and 1 decline. The coaches didn't know what to do with me then. I was a football player. Linebacker, pretty good one. I played on 2 state championship teams. I was a power lifter. And I started boxing at the age 10. That's a good thing to get into when you got to fight. And I've taught collegiate wrestling. I can wrestle. But all of this, and what I'm telling you is, this molded my mind. I had this mentality that I couldn't be beat. You're not going to beat me. I had one night between New Orleans and Baton Rouge in a big dance hall outfit. Had a guy come up to me just out of the blue and just hauled off and hit me blindsided. I mean, as hard as he could. And I shook my head and looked at him. And he said something wasn't real cool then. Oh. Nobody has has ever whipped me in a fist fight. And as I grew up, I would say, I'm not no little guy. Okay? I'm not a little guy. And I've always been strong. God's always given me strength. But this mentality of you can't be beat stayed with me. And I don't know, how do you live with something like that? You know, people have alcohol problems, drug problems, I'm fighting problems. But I never got any. I just quit counting. There's so many. And I can remember this. I had a burning bush experience one time. I got pictures of me 15 years old with my hands around the alligators' throats. It bothered me. I wrestled a bear. Went the distance with him. It bothered me. Because I always had him. A lot of times I didn't know I had him. But I always had him. He was on my side. Let me get to this. I had this mentality that I couldn't be beat. And it followed me all through high school, college, up until I graduated. I played outside linebacker at Northeast. And when I graduated and got out of football, I had married the most beautiful woman in the world right there. She's sitting right there. Still with me 47 years later. But she never saw me get into this fight. And sometimes she says, "Thank you, Lord." Because she's never seen me actually lose my temper real bad. But I was at a point in my life. We actually had 4 children by then. And I graduated. We had I say a friend. I didn't know the gentleman. But my oldest daughter, who was 12 years old, Connie, she had a friend named Donna Neck. Same age. My next daughter is 2 years younger than Connie. And then we had my son, who was just about, I guess, maybe 5. He was a 4, not that much. How old was he then? How old was Mick Jr.? About 3. He was just a baby. And this young lady asked my daughter, could we go with them to the Ouachita River and go boat riding one day? My wife loves to ride the boats. So I said, well, ask your mother. So she did. They said, okay, great, we're going to do this. So we went and met these folks, climbed in their car, pulled in their boat, and took off for the Ouachita River. And this was in the latter part of May. Just beginning to get warm enough to where people wanted to get out and go do things, you know, on the river. And a little bit, if you get past the initial cold in the water, you're okay. And we went to a place. Some of you who've lived here a long time probably know this place I'm fixing to say. Lazar Point. Does anybody in here know how many people have drowned there? Many. Many have drowned. We didn't know a thing about that. We just knew we was going to have a good time. We went down there, pulled the boat up, docked it out in that water, got in that boat and went up the river, and man, we were having a good time. Came back, pulled the boat up in the little cove there where other boats were, got out. All our family got up and headed up there on that beach. Let me set a picture for you. This is a beautiful little beach where the current of the river hits the opposite shore and comes back and throws up this real fine sand and makes a beautiful little sandy beach. They had a rope out there marking off where you shouldn't be swimming. Okay? This gentleman took his daughter and my two daughters and went down in the crowd. About 75 or 100 people were there. Me, my wife, and his wife, and I let our son go play in the water a little bit where that little cove was. He had some little floaties. And then we put him in a baby pen behind us, right in the shadows. And we had our blankets laid out, okay? I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life at that point. I think God wanted me in my best shape. I wasn't playing football anymore. I wasn't being beat on. I was just powerlifting. I was entering triathlons. Y'all know what a triathlon is. I was a powerful swimmer, and I was strong. I was so felt in my mind that I was so, if I could get a hold of the door, I could take it off the hinges. Remember now, I'm not no Shaquille O'Neal. I'm not that big, but I'm not little. I felt as good as I've ever felt physically in my life. One of them, take a deep breath, boom, and it bounces off the bottom of your lungs. That's how I felt. I laid down that blanket with my wife next to me and his wife right there. And I stretched out. I'm going to give you some sun. Oh, it felt good. It felt good. This man's down there playing with the daughters, his daughter and my two. 75 or 100 people having fun. It's just, oh, golly, it is. Ooh. I almost dozed off and went to sleep. And all of a sudden, I heard this blood-curdling scream. People started screaming, hollering, and I jumped up and big commotion going on down there. And I found out a few minutes later, I didn't have people all out there trying to save somebody. And I found out a few minutes later, a little 7-year-old boy had got caught in the current. And it took a half a dozen people to get that child out of that current and back up there on that sandbar. Now, quite a few people left then. They realized the river's still too high. Quite a few people left. That still left a lot of them there, though. So, I laid back down on that blanket. Going to get my suntan that was interrupted. This man's still down there picking our daughters up and throwing them how you do in the waters. He's down there playing with the girls, throwing them up. I'm laying there and I'm just about asleep. It feels so good again. When all of a sudden I hear this blood-curdling scream, one loud voice. Mickey! Mickey! This man is standing about this deep in the water with his back to me, screaming my name. And one of the girls is caught in the current, being swept out to the river. Folks, I covered that 40 yards. If it had a clock on me, it was quick. And I hit that water like a big water buffalo. Boom! And all I could see was brown hair and flaming arms. And I was hydroplaning. I was swimming so fast. I had the current behind me too. I was moving. And just about the time that I get from here to where y'all are, that river pulled her under. I went under on my own. And I was just, got her in my arms, and I headed for the surface. And I turned to go back the way I had come. It was like somebody hit me with a right cross, and I've been hit with several good ones. I mean, the force of that river, I've been swimming with it. When I turned to go back against it, it was powerful. Boom! What did I say my mentality was? I ain't never been beat. That went in my mind. You've never been beat. This river can't even whoop you. You're too tough. And I bowed my neck, folks, and I plowed into that river. Sucked me under. That was the second time I've been under, you know. I went under one time to get her. I went under again. And that river just, I can't tell you how powerful that thing was. But I fought my way to the surface again. More determined than ever to win this battle. Because I had a 12-year-old trying to get on top of my shoulders. She's fighting for air. I'm fighting river. And I could see people about 60 yards away now doing this. Nobody's coming to help me. Nobody's coming to help me. And the river sucked me under again. 3 times I had been down. My mentality was, this is my daughter. I can't let this thing beat me. I cannot let it beat me. I ain't never been beat. And I thought, okay, if I just rest just a second, I'll beat this thing. My daughter's life depends on it. And when I called on this thing to take me to the surface again, nothing. I got nothing. Ain't nothing left. And I'm a student of anatomy and physiology. I have a degree in kinesics. I know what it is. I know what adrenaline is. My adrenaline that carried me from that blanket to now. When I called on this thing to take me to that surface again, nothing. I got nothing. And that river's still pulling me deeper, because when you go down levels, the water gets colder, and it's steadily taking me down. And there's a time when you know you're fixing to die. When you know you're fixing to die. And I wanted to look at my daughter one last time. So I just pulled her close and held her. She didn't quit struggling. And it wasn't my daughter. It was his daughter. Old man's daughter. It wasn't my daughter. It wasn't one of my girls. Satan had a crack at me at the moment of death. Let her go. You know, Satan knows your past. Am I right about that, Steve? He knows our past. He knows our past. He knows our past. But he don't know our future. He's not God. That's what got him in trouble in the first place. Haughty pride. He inserted a thought in my head. Let her go. She's dead anyway. You can live. Let her go. And I said, no. This little girl don't deserve to die. I'll die with her. I just pulled her close and I held her. And with the last conscious thought in my head, I said, Lord, If you want us to live, it's up to you, Jesus. Because there ain't nothing left to make you clear. He's gone. And I died. What happened next defies anything. Okay? God was right there to go, breathe life into me. I'm on the bottom of the river, folks, and I can breathe. And I'm more alive than I've ever been in my life. I mean, audibly. You know, our brother G talks about knowing God's voice, which y'all know what I'm talking about. Audibly, just like I'm speaking to y'all. You hear me talking here? Just like I'm speaking to y'all. Audibly, God said, son, you called on me. Now watch. Boom! It was like somebody plugged this thing into 220. Back to the surface. Into the current. Stroke, stroke, stroke. Like I'm swimming in my bathtub. You've heard of people with out-of-body experiences. I'm out of my body. Watching me swim. Watching me swim. And I said, God, this ain't me, what's happening? Audibly again, once on the bottom of the river, now on top. It's okay, son. I've got you. Just watch. I'm down here swimming. I can feel water hitting my face. I know I'm down here, but I know I'm up here because I can feel him holding me. I can't explain that, folks. But God even knew my thoughts when He said, you're made in my image, son. Your spirit has a soul, lives in a body. Your body, I've taken it over. Your spirit is in my arms. That's the breath of life, by the way. And that soul that's in us, when we die, that soul's going to live somewhere forever, either with Christ or that other place. But when you die, and that spirit, the breath of life goes back to where it came from. God gave it to me on the bottom of the river. He put it back in. I mean, right on up through that. My feet hit that sandbar. And God, it was like He poured me back into my body. And I hand this man his daughter. She's alive too.
Yeah.
Now, I had people tell me between 8 and 10 minutes transpired from the time we went on to the last one. I don't know if too many people can hold that breath 8 minutes. I handed this man his daughter. She's alive too. I got a bunch of people around hollering and wanting to pat me on the back and everything, and let me tell you something. Omnipresence. God's everywhere. He's everywhere. Manifest presence. When God chooses to manifest Himself in your time capsule, feel it? Reach over and touch somebody. That's manifest presence. That's how real He becomes in your life. You'd think a man with a manifest, present miracle of God would hit his knees and begin to thank God, right? You know what this guy does back in the flesh? I hit my knees all right on that sandbar, and I screamed at the top of my voice with all these people around, and I have never used God's name in vain in my life. I don't believe in cursing. Don't do it. You know, coaches are supposed to be able to cuss. I've been a coach most of my life. I don't believe in cursing. That man can tell you that right now. He coached with me for many years. I screamed at the top of my voice, God, damn this place. I wanted him to curse it. To curse that place. In my mind, in a moment of time, I know that a lot of people have drowned here. And I even see past things and big boom, boom. Indians in that area used to throw babies in there to the water gods. And I got up off my knees with a manifest miracle in my pocket and walked away and never told a soul, not even her, for 12 years of what had happened to me. I'm a man with 3 degrees. See, I don't want nobody thinking I'm crazy. Okay? Every once in a while, the Holy Spirit would poke me in the back and say, when you don't tell people what I did for you, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Until one day, at Ouachita Junior High School, in the morning with 283 Fellowship of Christian Students, in a meeting that we had on Wednesday mornings. And I always did the good things. I helped organize stuff, you know, the plans and stuff, and helping out, a lot of busy work. Good things, but a lot of busy work. And I walked back there, and Sue Avery's back there, the English teacher that helps sponsor. She said, Mr. Cleveland, the speaker can't make it. Would you speak? Folks, I didn't do that kind of stuff. I helped out. I didn't speak at all. I didn't do that. No formed in my brain. No formed in my brain. But never come out of my mouth. Holy Spirit very plainly said, son, now, you tell them what I did for you now. If I'd have said no again, I think I'd have died on the floor. I think I would have just had a heart attack and boom, I've been gone. I said, yes, sir. Well, Miss Avery, I don't know if she's no sir. I don't know who she thought I was talking to. I wasn't talking to her. I was talking to you. And I turned and walked back up through that crowd of kids, picked up a Bible off of a desk, arguing with God the whole time. What are you really talking about? God, I ain't no preacher. I don't know what to say. Turned around at the podium and dropped that Bible on that podium. Guess what it fell open to? The book of Judges. Samson. Pretty strong guy, wasn't he? Boom. How many of y'all think that I'm strong? Well, them kids, a lot of them been in my office, they see the pictures of me wrestling with a bear, powerlifting, boxing, alligators. I said, how many of y'all think I'm strong? Every hand in the house goes up. I said, how many of y'all think Samson was strong? Killed 1,000 men with a jawbone of an ass. I said, let me tell you how strong we're not. And I'll put myself in the same category with him because I know Samson was standing over there with God watching his body kill 1,000 men. It's okay, son, I got it. When it was all over, testimony was over, there were little girls all over that library, boo-hooing and crying. 12 and 13-year-old girls. This little girl was 12, 13 years old. And I said,